Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s in this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Get your copy of John Haynes, 1987 in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. A 13-year-old girl was stabbed after rejecting the advances of teenage boys in Brooklyn outside the Barclays Center.
We turn our attention now to that exclusive interview. A 13-year-old girl tells Eyewitness News she was with friends near the Barclays Center when they were approached by a group of 3 teenage boys. She says when they turned the boys' advances down, those boys got aggressive. One of them pulled out a knife and stabbed her. And just minutes ago, the NYPD released images of the 3 teens they say they're looking for. Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles spoke to that victim in her hospital bed. She's live this evening in downtown Brooklyn. Darla?
Sandra, the 13-year-old girl and her friends were crossing the street from the shopping center over to the Barclays Center, and she says when they got to the sidewalk over here, that is when one of the teens pulled out the knife and started stabbing. She says she's angry because she was on the sidelines. She wasn't even the one arguing with the teen boys, and she says she was stabbed over words and wants to know for what.
The main thing was because where she had got stabbed at, but they said everything is fine.
The 13-year-old daughter of Keisha Harvey says it was a teenage guy with dreads who used a kitchen knife to stab her in her gut near her pelvis. The what-ifs immediately entering her mother's mind. What if the puncture wound had been an inch or 2 away from where she had been stabbed?
I just needed them to do what they needed to do because I needed to know that she was okay. Because I want grandbabies.
The NYPD within the last hour releasing clear images of the suspects accused in the attack of Kayla Carter. Sunday night around 7:45 in the 600 block of Atlantic Avenue near the Barclays Center and Shopping Center. The soon-to-be 8th grader hanging out with friends when they encountered 3 guys.
Didn't know them. We was all arguing because I guess it all started off by them looking at us weird.
That did not go so well for the guys, the ladies uninterested. Carter says the 2 groups of teens then started arguing and got heated.
When he tried to stab my friend, missed her, and then after that, I thought he was going to come up to me and tell me to get my friend or something. That's when I didn't know he was going to stab me, and I thought the knife was fake.
But the knife was not fake.
I thought he was going to keep trying to stab me, so I ran. I didn't even look back to see if he was still there chasing us. I just ran to somewhere that I could at least get help at.
The suspects running away too. The NYPD now working to identify and arrest them.
I feel like you just hurt me for no exact reason. So now I feel like I have anger now.
Very, very sad. 13-year-old Kayla Carter has anger in her heart. Her mother says she is also scared. She really doesn't want to go back outside. The family had been considering moving to Brooklyn from another borough. They are now reconsidering that. As for the suspects, if you recognize any of the teens in that video, please call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-577-TIPS. Reporting live in downtown Brooklyn, Darla Miles, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Darla, thank you very much.
Now, in this alleged incident that took place outside the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, a 13-year-old girl was coming back from the store when she decided to hang out with her friends outside the Barclays Center. And as she was standing outside the Barclays Center, 3 teenage boys approached her and her friends and looked to cold approach these girls, possibly for a date. And as these girls rejected these boys' advances, that's when the entire incident turned into an argument. And as it turned into an argument, this is where one of the boys who got rejected decided to take out a knife and stab one of the girls who did not reject his advances. And after stabbing that girl in the stomach, all 3 of the boys wound up fleeing the scene. And as they were fleeing the scene, the MTA security cameras caught them on camera and put their pictures up for people to identify them so that they could be arrested. Now, the girl is recovering in the hospital, and the NYPD just see this as an isolated incident and an escalation of teen-on-teen violence here in New York City. However, when I take a critical examination of the alleged actions of this 13-year-old boy, it definitely fits the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis, and it also fits the pattern and profile for simps that I talk about in my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance. And it's clear to me that these teenage boys are basically children of the corn who basically grew up like stalks with no structure or order established by their mother or their father. And because they didn't grow up with any sort of structure or order, this is why these children basically ran wild and wound up looking to participate in this violence against this 13-year-old girl, all for rejecting advances on them that they made as related to a cold approach of a girl. Now, this is something that when I was growing up, you learned how to take the rejection, because when you get taught proper male life skills and male survival skills, you understand that it's when a girl says no, it's okay, because that's her choice. And if she says no, that means that you have more time to get with the women who actually want to get with you. But it seems like these males today have not been taught this essential male life skill that a man has to learn as related to survival in adolescence. And because he hasn't been taught this male life skill, what these males do is that they cannot take the rejection. And as they can't take the rejection, what they do is get emotional and act impulsively, not thinking about the consequences of their actions. And that's basically what happened here with this male. He got so caught up in his feelings as related to the argument, as related to the way these girls were rejecting them, that he basically exploded in this rage, took out this knife, and acted so impulsively. He didn't even stab the girl who rejected him. He wound up stabbing another girl who did nothing to him. And then after participating in this impulsive action, what he did was wind up fleeing the scene and basically changing the whole trajectory of his life forever. And that's what happens when you don't get the proper male life skills or male survival skills in adolescence. What you do is participate in an impulsive action that can lead to consequences that can basically derail the trajectory of your life. And that's what's happening here, is that this male basically went from having his intangibles of manhood, such as his dignity, his self-respect, his self-worth, and most importantly, his freedom, to now being on the run from the police and possibly on the road to winding up in juvenile hall until he's about 21. And if he is a 19-year-old adult, he will be charged as an adult and possibly wind up in the criminal justice system for attempted murder. That's where this guy is basically going, because he did not get those proper male life skills, such as critical thinking, where you sit there and think critically about what you're going to do before you act as related to things. Because a man who gets critical thinking understands that his intangibles are far more important than getting the phone number of a girl, and having those intangibles are the things that you have to have if you hope to survive. Moreover, he understands how to navigate through his emotions to be able to take that rejection, whereas when that girl says no, he can sit there and say, okay, she said no, and not act on that rejection. Yes, it may hurt to hear a girl that you step to say no. It may be even a bit of a bruise to the ego, but the whole thing is, when a man has his discipline and resolve, he can take a girl saying no to him and basically charge her to the game, and understand that in this world there are more women than men, more girls than boys. And if one girl says no, it's not the end of the world. And if she says no to me in front of my boys and she tries to diss What a smart dude does is basically just retort back with a joke, or he doesn't even say anything at all, and that has the strongest impact when a man goes silent and just says, "Cool, that's how you feel," and charge her to the game. That basically earns a man more respect than getting emotional, because when a dude goes out here and gets emotional, it just shows everyone how weak he is, and that's what these males did. They basically showed everyone how weak they are and how little discipline and little self-control they have, because this dude basically, again, got into an argument with these girls after they said no on a cold approach. And on a cold approach, that's where a man has to sit down and just say, okay, she said no, and then keep it pushing. And then after he keeps it pushing, what that does is allow him to be able to keep his intangibles of his manhood, such as his dignity, his self-respect, and most importantly, his freedom, because your freedom is the thing that you need to protect at all costs. Your freedom is what you need to protect, because if you don't have your freedom, you can't move in society, and if you can't move in society, you won't be able to step to the next girl. That's what this guy wasn't really thinking about. No, he wasn't thinking about all that. No, all he was thinking about was, oh, these girls dissed me, so now I'm going to try to take my respect, not understanding that's not how a man takes his respect. No, a man takes his respect by taking his personal power and walking away from a woman who isn't interested. And sadly, this teenage boy didn't get this lesson from an older man. And because he didn't get that lesson from an older man, what this teenage boy has gone and done, and basically, again, I'll repeat it once more for people to understand, this boy has basically derailed his life, because he's gone from being a free boy to winding up being a boy who's going to get caught up in the criminal justice system. And if he gets caught up in that criminal justice system, if he's at the least 13 years old, and if he's going to be in the juvenile justice system, and if he's 19 years old, he's going to Rikers Island, and before he's sent up to the penitentiary, and it's there that he will learn hard lessons in life, to not take your freedom for granted when you're in a space where the COs are dictating everything to you as related to the rules of the jail and the penitentiary. And you're going to learn even harder lessons if this guy is an adult and they take him to Rikers Island, where he will be dealing with Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles. And when they make advances on him, it ain't gonna be nice, because when they make advances on him, he's not gonna be in a place where he can say no, and that's where he will reap what he sowed, greater than what he sowed, later than what he sowed, as he's basically winding up traded for Little Debbie snack cakes, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light lemonade, packets of Crystal Light tea, off-brand lemon lime drink, off-brand fruit punch, off-brand grape drink, off-brand orange drink, off-brand apple juice, off-brand fruit punch, off-brand lemon cookies, off-brand Oreo cookies, off-brand duplex cookies, off-brand strawberry cookies, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light lemonade, packets of Crystal Light tea, Taster's Choice coffee, hot and sour pickles, beef sausages, packets of chicken, packets of tuna, packets of soy sauce, packets of sriracha sauce, pork cracklings. I mean, they're basically going to be trading, dude, for all of the commissary as they're filling up the front side and the back side with big brown summer sausages. And then what will happen is, after they wind up spit roasting, dude, what they're going to do is wind up having Mr. Sprinkles come in, spray the front side and the back side with some special sauce, and after Mr. Sprinkles finishes off the backside with the special sauce, he will call all the guys from Cell Block D to come in and take a look at his handiwork as he splits the cheeks open. And after he splits the cheeks open and shows this dude's backside looking like the inside of a Louisiana crunch cake, that's where this dude will realize what he wound up losing, all because he couldn't hear the word no from a girl, he will realize that he basically wound up losing more than his face in front of his friends. No, he's basically lost his dignity and his freedom inside of that penitentiary. And that's what happens to a male who does not go out here and think critically and navigate through his emotions. A male who does not think critically and say, hey, if I go and I cold approach a girl, chances are I'm gonna hear no because this chick don't know me at all. And once I made my shot my shot, what I'm gonna do is basically take the L and keep it moving, because freedom has a higher value than trying to sate my feelings. That's what a critical thinking male understands. Having your freedom is more important than anything at all, because with your freedom, you have your dignity, you have your self-respect, and you can go on to the next day. But this guy basically ain't going to be able to go on much longer. No, he's basically a child of the corn who basically is going to wind up getting cut down by law enforcement, and sadly, basically, again, threw away his life over something so trivial, because he took life for granted. He took life for granted and didn't understand how fast your life can change in a snap. That's something he just did not understand. And this is a hard lesson that a lot of boys just don't get. And again, I wrote about this in a book called John Haynes, 1987, about how fast your life can change like that if you just are fighting over girls. And again, it makes no sense to fight over any girl, because what happens in many cases is that you as a man will wind up either dying or losing your freedom. And what will happen is, as you are basically in this penitentiary, this girl is going to be going on with her life, and while she's out here entertaining other guys, you're getting your back blown out by Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, and Melvin and Mr. Sprinkles, and you're basically losing time out of your life, time you will never get back, time that you will never be able to have, memories you will never be able to experience. I mean, this dude's friends are going to be going on with their lives, and sadly this guy don't see the big picture of what happened here. He don't see the big picture because there was never a man to sit down and talk to him about how to move in these streets as related to girls. This is something he didn't get that I had to learn the hard way in junior high school, but at least I learned the lessons that when a girl says no, it's not the end of the world. What you just do is keep on moving. Yeah, your feelings may be hurt for a minute. Yeah, your feelings may have you feeling down for an extended period of time of over about a week or so. Even just sometimes it'll just be a couple of minutes when you're very young, but as you get older, your resolve toughens up. And as your resolve toughens up, hearing girls say no eventually won't faze you. And it won't faze you because you'll understand it takes a lot of no to get the yes. And the ones that say no were possibly not the right ones for you. So let them go on about their business and you keep your freedom, because no woman is worth you getting upset about to the point where you're jeopardizing your freedom. That's what many boys don't learn at an early age. And because they don't learn these hard lessons at an early age, what happens to these boys is that they wind up becoming on the road to becoming men in crisis. Now, if you want to learn how to break out of the whole mindset of going out here and looking to try to get the attention of women and thinking that women are the world, you need to pick up my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, on Amazon.com in paperback. And I've had a lot of mothers go out here and get this book for their son before they start going out here with girls. I've had mothers go out here and say they were happy to have this book because it helped them with their son in adolescence and helped them understand how things work as related to the world of dating and relationships. And this book could possibly save your son's freedom and possibly your son's life if you pick it up in paperback or Kindle format on Amazon.com. And if you want to learn what leads to boys like this becoming on the road to becoming juvenile delinquents, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com. And that book will go into detail to identifying the antisocial behaviors of beta males and help you set a correction course for your son so that he won't wind up becoming a man in crisis like the male I talked about in this video. And if you want to see me make more videos talking about the man crisis, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, E-Steam: The Sands of Time. It's action and adventure in ancient Egypt in this terrific teen time travel romance. Get your copy of E-Steam: The Sands of Time at your favorite online bookseller today. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.